Boxing is a sport of moments, split seconds that define careers, nights that rewrite legacies. On this night, under the scorching lights and the roar of an expectant crowd, two men walk toward a moment that could alter everything. One is a young prodigy, his future hanging in the balance. The other, a battle-worn veteran chasing one last shot at glory before the doors close for good. This isn't just a fight, it's a test of will, pride, and survival. When the final bell echoes through the silence, only one will rise. Vito Mielnicki Jr., just 22 years old, stands as the American hope, clean-cut, composed, and burdened with the kind of hype that can turn to heartbreak in a single round. He is white magic, the prospect with pedigree, highlight reels, and the suffocating pressure of being the next big thing. Across from him stands Kamil Gardzielik, a polished Polish vet whose dreams have been battered by time and fate. He's tasted glory in the amateurs, earned respect in Europe, and now stands at the edge of the cliff. One more shot, one more night to prove he still matters. This fight isn't about belts or rankings. It's about proving you belong before boxing decides you don't. At 17, Mielnicki signed with Premier Boxing Champions, thrust into the spotlight before most young men even graduate high school. The lights only grew brighter, the headlines louder. Suddenly, he was the face of tomorrow, a tall, sharp boxer with a jab like a metronome and movement worthy of a bigger stage. He looked the part, he fought the part, but boxing is a cruel mistress. Then came 2021, a fight he was supposed to cruise through. James Martin. No controversy, no excuses, just a loss. A reminder that talent alone isn't enough in this unforgiving business. But Mielnicki didn't crumble. He rebuilt. He learned. He returned sharper, stronger, and more aware of the razor's edge he walks every time he steps through the ropes. Now 17-1 with 12 knockouts, he's still rising, but he knows one bad night, one mistake, and the hype can vanish in an instant. Every round is a test. Every punch is a question. Are you ready for the next level? Or just another name on the list of almosts? Mielnicki's journey is as much about mental fortitude as physical skill. The loss to Martin was a gut punch, but it was also a crucible. He returned with a new edge, a sharper focus, knowing that in boxing, the only thing harder than climbing the mountain is staying on top. His training camps have become more grueling, his preparation more meticulous. He's learned to embrace the pressure, to use it as fuel, rather than let it consume him. Gardzielik has seen it all. A decorated amateur, undefeated through the early part of his pro career. He was once the pride of Polish boxing circles. Slick, skilled, and respected. He fought with the technician's touch and a survivor's grit, but the breakout moment never came. Instead, it arrived in the worst way. Benjamin Whittaker. 2 rounds. A thunderous knockout. The kind of loss that echoes in the mind, that makes every comeback feel like a long walk through shadows. Since then, Gardzielik's been a ghost, out of the spotlight, out of the conversation. But now with everything on the line, he returns, not for glory, but for survival. Not to build a future, but to wreck someone else's. He knows what this fight is, a chance to steal the spotlight, to rewrite his story by ending someone else's. Raised in Poland, Gardzielik's journey has been one of grit and grind. He built his name on the European circuit, fighting for small purses and big dreams. His style was always more substance than flash, but he racked up wins and respect. The knockout loss to Whittaker was a crossroads. Many thought he was done. But Gardzielik is stubborn, a trait that in boxing can be both curse and blessing. But he's here for one last run, one last night to remind the world that every underdog gets his day. Mielnicki is a technician. He fights behind a disciplined jab, controls the pace, and rarely takes unnecessary risks. His style is about rhythm, range, and composure. Boxing is chess, not roulette. He's tall for the weight, with a sharp jab and fluid movement. He likes to control the distance, pick his shots, and punish mistakes. His defense is tight, his combinations crisp, and his ring IQ is growing with every fight. He's at his best when he dictates the pace, when he's the one setting traps, not falling into them. He'll look to keep the fight in the center of the ring, using angles and footwork to frustrate Gardzielik's advances. Gardzielik is the opposite. He brings chaos, walking through fire to land the shot that matters. He'll trade, he'll brawl, he'll drag you into the mud and see if you can swim. He doesn't care how it looks, only that it lands. He's got the experience, the grit, and the willingness to take risks. He'll try to close the distance, smother the cleaner work, and turn the fight into a brawl. His best moments come when he can force exchanges, make the younger man uncomfortable, and test the limits of composure. It's the classic matchup, the prospect versus the spoiler, the cleaner boxer versus the unpredictable brawler. If Mielnicki keeps it clean, he wins. But if Gardzielik makes it ugly, we've got a war. This isn't just about who hits harder or moves better. It's about pressure. Mielnicki carries the weight of expectation, the spotlight that burns as much as it illuminates. He's expected to win, to shine, to keep climbing. But what happens if the plan falls apart? What happens when the script goes off the rails? Gardzielik? He's dangerous because he's free. No one expects him to win. He's got nothing left to lose, and that makes him the most dangerous man in the building. When you fight with your back to the wall, every punch is thrown with desperation, with hunger, with the knowledge that this could be the last chance. For Mielnicki, this is about momentum. A win keeps the train rolling, keeps the dream alive. A loss? It could kill the hype, derail the rise, and turn promise into just another cautionary tale. For Gardzielik, this is the last open door. A win brings him back to relevance, gives him one more shot at the spotlight. A loss? It might be the end of the road, the final chapter in a career that deserved more. This fight isn't about belts or rankings. It's about survival. It's about respect. These are Mielnicki's strengths. Mielnicki is tall for his weight class, giving him natural advantage in controlling distance. His jab is sharp and consistent, used to keep opponents at bay and set up combinations. Fluid footwork allows him to dictate the pace and avoid unnecessary exchanges. Tight guard and head movement make him difficult to hit cleanly. His ring IQ is growing with every fight. He's learning to adapt and adjust mid-fight. Now these are Gardzielik's strengths. Over 20 pro fights with a wealth of amateur experience. Willingness to take risks and engage in exchanges. Excellent at closing the distance and smothering opponents. Historically durable, though recent knockout losses raises questions. Born in Belleville, New Jersey, Mielnicki was a prodigy from the start. He won national amateur titles, signed with a major promoter as a teenager, and was headlining cards before he could legally order a drink. Every step has been under the microscope, every mistake magnified. But it's the setbacks that have defined him. After the Martin loss, Vito didn't just train. He transformed. His sparring partners got tougher, his strength and conditioning more rigorous. The carefree teenage boxer gave way to a young professional obsessed with mastering the nuances of his craft. He studied tape, not just of his opponents, but of boxing greats, Leonard, Mayweather, Whitaker. He didn't just want to win, he wanted to evolve. And now with the polished 17-1 record, and the eyes of boxing insiders watching closely, Mielnicki enters a new kind of pressure. The pressure not just to win, but to impress. Gardzielik's story is less glossy, but perhaps more compelling. Born in Nowydor, Poland, he cut his teeth in rough amateur circuits where decisions weren't always fair and the lights weren't always bright. He earned every inch of his boxing life the hard way, traveling across Eastern Europe, fighting for modest purses in half-full arenas. He built an unbeaten record by being smart, not flashy, a technician with a subtle defensive style. Gardzielik didn't wow crowds, but he won fights. That is, until the Benjamin Whitaker bout, the first time he'd been truly tested under real scrutiny. The result? A shocking KO that went viral in the worst way possible. But Kamil isn't a fighter defined by one punch. He's defined by his response to it. But behind every stat and every headline, both men carry stories that run deeper than boxing. Their journeys aren't just measured in wins and losses, but in the sacrifices made far from the spotlight, by themselves and by those who love them most. To truly understand what's at stake on fight night, you have to look beyond the ring. This is a battle shaped not only by skill and ambition, but by the quiet sacrifices, family bonds, and personal battles that have defined each man's path. Behind every punch thrown and every round survived, there is a world that rarely makes the highlight reels. A world of sacrifice, silent struggle, and the unbreakable bonds of family. For both Vito Mielnicki Jr. and Kamil Gardzielik, the fight is more than a career crossroads. It's the culmination of years spent chasing a dream that demands everything. For Mielnicki, the boy wonder, boxing has always been a family affair. His earliest memories are of gym lights flickering overhead, his father's voice echoing encouragement from ringside, and his mother's anxious prayers whispered before every bout. The Mielnickis have invested not just money, but time, hope, and heartache, missing holidays, enduring injuries, and living with the ever-present anxiety that comes with loving a fighter. Every win is a shared victory, every setback, a collective wound. As Vito steps into the ring, he carries not only his own ambitions, but the weight of a family legacy, determined to honor the sacrifices that brought him here. Across the ring, Gardzielik's journey is marked by a different kind of sacrifice. Growing up in Nowy Dwór, Poland, Kamil's path was forged in obscurity and hardship. Family meant resilience, parents working long hours, relatives pooling resources to send him to distant tournaments, siblings cheering on from crowded living rooms. The Gardzieliks know what it means to go without, to bet everything on a single night's promise. For Kamil, every fight is a chance to repay that faith, to send a message back home that the struggle wasn't in vain. The stakes then are not just professional, they're deeply personal. A win for Mielnicki is a validation of years spent in the public eye, a thank you to those who believed in him before the world did. For Gardzielik, victory is a lifeline, a way to rewrite his story and bring pride to a family that stood by him through triumph and heartbreak. In boxing, the bell rings for more than just the fighters. It tolls for every parent, sibling, and friend whose love and sacrifice have fueled the journey. On this night, under the unforgiving lights, two men will fight for more than themselves. They will fight for the people who made the dream possible, and for the legacy that will outlast any single night in the ring. What's at stake here isn't just who climbs another rung of the rankings. It's about narrative. For Mielnicki, this fight is about proving he's not just a young star being groomed, but a fighter tested by fire, honed by failure, and ready for the deepest waters the welterweight division can offer. For Gardzielik, is not just a comeback, it's a rescue mission. His career teeters on the edge of irrelevance. One more loss, especially one-sided, and his phone may never ring again. A win, however, would be a seismic shock and open up options against fringe contenders and regional champions in both the US and Europe. This fight, in essence, is boxing in its purest form, a cross-generational crossroads. If you scroll through Reddit, Twitter, or boxing forums, the conversation is intriguing. Vito's gonna outbox this guy with ease. Gardzielik is tailor-made for him. Others disagree. Man, y'all are forgetting how tough these Eastern Euros are. Gardzielik isn't flashy, but he's solid. If he can get inside, this could be a nightmare for Mielnicki. And then there are the realists. If Vito loses this, he's cooked. That hype train derails quickly in boxing. Just ask Edgar Berlanga. There's always tension when an up-and-comer faces a seasoned vet. Because even if the young gun is favored, the old dog has seen every trick in the book. He's weathered storms that the prospect can only imagine, and he knows how to turn a moment's hesitation into a fight-changing opportunity. In these matchups, experience becomes a weapon, and the margin for error shrinks to nothing. On paper, this is Mielnicki's fight. His footwork, his jab, his age, they all suggest a wide decision win. He's in shape, focused, and carries the kind of youthful resilience that makes rebuilding look easy. But Gardzielik isn't just some padded record from Europe. He's been in there. He's taken real shots. He knows what it feels like to lose. And that desperation makes him unpredictable. Expect the cautious start from both, with Mielnicki using his jab to control the distance. But by round 4 or 5, Gardzielik will try to make it rough. The clinches will increase. The punches will get uglier. If Vito stays composed and shows the discipline we've seen in his last few fights, he'll take over by round 6. But if Gardzielik lands something heavy early, if he rattles Vito's cage and turns it into a phone booth war, anything can happen. Our official prediction: Vito Mielnicki Jr. wins via unanimous decision. The score will be around 98-92. But our dark horse outcome: Gardzielik shocks the boxing world with a late TKO. But only if Vito plays with fire. The bell will ring, and two fighters with vastly different motivations will meet in the center of the ring. One looking to validate a career built in the public eye, the other trying to revive a career built far away from the spotlight. This isn't about pay-per-view buys or belts. This is about belonging, about saying I still matter, about proving I'm not done yet. But what do you think happens on fight night? Will Vito Mielnicki Jr. keep his momentum rolling towards title contention? Or will Kamil Gardzielik pull off the kind of upset that turns heads across the boxing world? Drop your predictions in the comments below. Smash that like button if you love deep dive breakdowns and narrative-driven fight previews. Don't forget to subscribe to Knockout Nest, your home for cinematic boxing storytelling, behind-the-scenes analysis, and legacy-defining matchups. Turn on notifications so you never miss a fight preview, because in this sport, careers change in a single round. And hey, share this video with your boxing group chats, your gym crew, or your sparring partners, because this fight might not be a mega event, but it might just be a career definer. Until next time, we'll see you again when the dust settles on the canvas.